All right, let's talk about the modern web dev interview. It's basically a gauntlet, right? Especially when you're dealing with the MERN stack and Next.js. So today, we're going to break down everything you absolutely have to know to get through it and land that dream job.
Okay, let's just cut to the chase. Could you pass a MERN stack interview, like right now, today? Think about it. That's the kind of on-the-spot pressure we're getting you ready for. So we're going to frame this as the interview gauntlet. It's perfect, right? Each round is a new challenge, testing a different part of what makes you a great developer, from your raw coding skills to, how you actually talk about your work. Let's dive in round by round.
And here's the most important rule of this whole game. You got to remember this. It is not a pop quiz. They don't just want to know what you know, they want to see how you think. Can you take a tough problem, break it down, and explain your solution? That's the real test.
All right, round one. We're starting with the absolute foundation, the bedrock of pretty much everything we do on the web, JavaScript. There is no faking it here. You got to know this stuff cold. So let's get into the essentials.
This is like question number one in so many interviews. Var, let, and const. They're testing your grasp of scope. The old way, var was kind of messy. It's function scoped, you can redeclare it, and it just leads to bugs. That's why we got let and const in ES6. They're block scoped, which is way more predictable. So what's the difference between them? Simple. Let can be changed later, const can't. A little pro tip for you, just use const for everything unless you know you need to reassign it. It'll save you a lot of headaches.
Another classic trip up. Double equals versus triple equals. This is where they catch people. Look, the double equals is, well, it's a little too forgiving. It tries to be helpful by converting types for you. So the string 5 is equal to the number 5. And that can cause some really weird bugs. Your best friend always is the triple equals. It's strict. It checks the value and the type. So to it, a string 5 is absolutely not the same as the number 5. Just always use triple equals. Seriously.
Null versus undefined. Seems simple, right? But you've got to nail the explanation. Think of it this way. Undefined is JavaScript's way of saying, hey, you created this box, but you haven't put anything in it yet. It's automatic. Null, on the other hand, is you, the developer, intentionally saying, this box is empty, on purpose. And for bonus points, you can mention that famous little quirk. If you ask for the type of null, JavaScript will tell you it's an object. It's a bug from the very beginning of the language that's just never been fixed.
Okay, this looks complicated, but it's the secret to understanding how JavaScript can do so much at once without freezing up. Let's follow a set timeout call. When you run it, JavaScript doesn't just stop and wait. Nope, it hands it off to the browser's web APIs. Think of it like giving a task to an assistant. Once that timer is done, the web API puts your callback function into this waiting area, the callback queue. And now for the magic part, the event loop. It's like a bouncer constantly checking if the main club, the call stack, is empty. The second it's free, the event loop grabs the first function from the queue and shoves it onto the stack to run. And that right there is why your website stays smooth and responsive.
All right, you've proven you know your JavaScript. Solid. Now it's time for round 2, React. This is where we get into building those slick, modern user interfaces that everyone wants. Let's do this.
So they're going to ask you, what is React? Here's your perfect, concise answer. It's a JavaScript library, and that distinction from a framework is important for building fast, component-based user interfaces. The magic word there is component-based. Everything in React is about breaking down your UI into these small reusable pieces. That's its superpower.
And the follow-up question is always, okay, so why do we use it? You can boil it down to 3 huge wins. First, those components we just talked about. You can reuse them everywhere, which keeps your code super clean. Second, the virtual DOM. We'll get into that in a second, but it makes your apps feel lightning fast. And third, things like hooks, especially useState, give us a really smart, efficient way to handle all the data that changes in our app.
Props versus state. This is the absolute heart of how data moves in React. Think of it like this. Props are like instructions you hand down from a parent to a child. Here's your name, here's your color. The child can't change those instructions, they're read-only. State, on the other hand, is like the child's own internal memory or mood. It's data that belongs to the component and that the component itself can change. And here's the kicker. Whenever that internal state changes, React knows it needs to update the view. It's what makes the UI dynamic.
Okay, let's talk about React's secret weapon, the virtual DOM. See, talking directly to the real browser DOM, the thing that actually draws stuff on your screen, is super slow and expensive. It's like renovating a whole house every time you want to hang a picture. So what does React do? It keeps a lightweight copy,
a blueprint of the real DOM in memory. Now, when some state changes in your app, React doesn't touch the real house. Instead, it creates a new blueprint. Then, it does something brilliant called diffing. It compares the new blueprint to the old one and finds the tiniest possible difference. Maybe it's just that one picture frame. And only then does it go to the real DOM and make that one tiny surgical update. This whole process is called reconciliation, and it's why React apps feel so incredibly snappy. Okay, you've crushed the front-end round, but now the gauntlet gets real. Round 3, the full-stack test. This is where they find out if you're just a UI developer or if you're a true full-stack engineer. We're talking Next.js, we're talking backend, the whole shebang.
First things first, they need to know you get the difference between React and Next.js. And it's simple. React is the engine. It's the library that builds the UI components. Next.js is the whole car. It's a full-on framework that uses React as its engine, but adds all the stuff you need for a real production-ready application. We're talking routing, server-side rendering, API endpoints. It's all built in, ready to go.
This brings us to a huge feature of Next.js, server-side rendering, or SSR. Over on the right, you have the typical client-side rendering. The browser gets a basically empty HTML page and a big bundle of JavaScript, and then it has to figure out how to build the entire page. It works, but it can be slow to start. Now look at the left, with SSR. The server does the heavy lifting. It builds the complete HTML page for a request before sending it to the browser. What does this mean for you? A way faster initial load, and a massive boost for your SEO. It's a game changer.
So how do you handle users logging in and staying logged in? A super common interview question, and a great answer is using JWTs, or JSON Web Tokens. The flow is actually pretty elegant. The user logs in, the server says, yep, you're good, creates this special digitally signed token, and sends it back. From then on, whenever the client wants to access a protected part of the site, it just includes that token. The server can quickly check the token's signature to verify it's legit without having to look up the user in the database every single time. It's fast and it's stateless. Really powerful stuff. This is one of those distinctions that makes you look really sharp in an interview. Authentication versus authorization. Think of it like going to a club. Authentication is you showing your ID at the door. You're proving who you are. Authorization is what happens after you're inside. It's about what you're allowed to do. Can you go into the VIP section? So authentication is who are you, and authorization is what can you do?
You've made it. You've passed all the hardcore technical rounds. But we're not done yet. Welcome to the final round, the boss level, if you will, the developer pitch. This is where you stop being just a coder and start being a problem solver. It's all about connecting your skills to what the company actually needs.
Okay, so they ask you, tell me about a project you're proud of. Do not, I repeat, do not just start listing off a bunch of technologies. You need to start with a powerful one-sentence summary. Something like this. Boom. Right away, they know you're a builder, you see the big picture, you can take a project from an idea to a finished product. That one sentence frames the rest of the conversation perfectly.
Okay, after you've hooked them with that summary, then you can dive into the cool tech details, but frame them as solutions to problems. Don't just say, I used MongoDB. Say, I integrated MongoDB to handle all the product data. Don't just say, I made a dashboard. Say, I built a custom admin dashboard with role-based access so that only managers could see sensitive data. See the difference? Mentioning smart choices like using Cloudinary for images to keep your own server fast shows you're not just thinking about code, you're thinking about the business.
And now for the final boss question. So, why should we hire you? This is not the time to be humble. You need to be direct, confident, and concise. An answer like this is perfect. It does two things. First, it states your value right now. I have hands-on experience building production-ready applications. That means you can hit the ground running. Second, it promises future value. I'm a fast, adaptable learner. That tells them you're an investment that's going to grow with them.
And there you have it. We've run the gauntlet together. So now, the real question is for you. What is that one project that defines you as a developer? The one that shows off not just what you can do, but how you think and why you love doing it. Figure that out, get your story straight, and you'll be unstoppable.